So you're probably trying to complete the latest Heroes of the Storm challenge by playing 30 games with friends, and the fastest way to play 30 games is by playing bot games. Now, I'm about 20 games in so far, and I've come upon a few things that I think can help you play just a little bit faster. At this moment, my fastest game was about 3.5 minutes, and the average has been 4.5 minutes. So if that's faster than what you've been doing so far, this should help, and if not, please leave some suggestions in the comments, because we'd all like to get through this a little bit quicker. So first thing that we should be taking a look at are the game settings. So when you're setting up your game, you want to make sure you're playing against the bots, and you want to make sure you're setting their difficulty level to beginner. You'll still get credit for it, and it just makes it a little bit easier. We're not looking for a challenge, we just want to get through these things as quickly as possible. The typical game should go like this. You want to rush whatever lane the boss will push once it's captured, if any, and your team should be able to push to the core in about 3 minutes, sometimes less. That's the easy part. Now, once you're actually at the core, that's when the game starts to get a little bit more difficult because the enemies respawn pretty quickly and you're already at low health and mana from your push. So once you're pushed back from the core, that's a good time to grab any mercenary camps, again making sure they're going to be going through the right lane, and also the boss, if there is any. That'll give you a couple of extra bodies, and that will really be a huge benefit when you're trying to take out the core. Now, the one exception to this, of course, is going to be the Towers of Doom, where you're not able to rush the enemy core. In this case, what you'll typically want to do is you will want to rush each one of the towers one at a time, and then once you have all of them, go back and take with any of them that have been retaken by the enemy team. Usually you'll lose one, possibly you'll be about to lose another, but usually that will give you enough time to get back in there and to retake those. And then just make sure that you control any of the little quests that show up, so that way you're able to get as much damage to the enemy core as quickly as possible. The Towers of Doom is without a doubt the slowest map that we can do this with. Another thing I wanted to mention is that aside from the Towers of Doom, typically what you're going to want to do is actually ignore any of the quests that take place, because if you look at most of them, then what they'll do is they're actually going to push the lane that is the least pushed. And so that would also go for things like Blackheart's Bay or like Sky Temple or things like that, because they're not going to attack the core right off the bat, and that's really what our focus is on. We don't care about the other lanes, we just want to blow up the core. Keep in mind that you're probably not going to be reaching level 10 with this kind of game. You'll usually finish somewhere around level 7, so don't go for skills or builds that will become stronger later on, and the same can be said for different kinds of heroes. Your team should probably have 3 different rules. You're going to have 2 siege heroes, at least 1 support, and then 1 or 2 other heroes that can take out enemy players and also buff or debuff, things like that. We're really looking for things like stunts and so on. So for your siege heroes, then the 2 obvious choices are Sylvanas and Sergeant Hammer. Sylvanas can freeze towers and fortresses, while Sergeant Hammer just sits back there and shoots at them. Sylvanas can also serve as a bit of a DPS when needed, and Hammer just hits things. The other 3 members of your team can be a little bit more varied. When choosing the other heroes, you want to keep in mind that you probably won't be able to go back to your sippy cup or to be able to hearth back very often unless you have a hero that gives you a lot of global presence. So you want to focus on characters that have a lot of sustain and will be able to stay in lane as long as possible, while at the same time being able to peel for your siege heroes. So anybody with a good stun, a good silence, a good root, or things like that should be really helpful. I personally like playing as a Tassadar for support, since the damage numbers at these levels are pretty low and that shield can be really helpful. Again, for protecting your Sergeant Hammer or for your DPS or anybody else. You can also get that Leeching Plasma talent at level 4, and that way whenever you shield a hero and they do damage through their basic attacks, then it'll actually restore some of their health. Malfurion is another really helpful hero because he is able to root enemies and he's also able to restore mana to your teammates. So again, that's going to be really helpful. Now as far as your assassins, you have a lot of options. I think a good choice would be someone like Gul'dan, and the reason why is because he can pretty much stay in lane forever as long as he has something he can drain life from. Varian could be another good option because he does have a lot of self-sustain if you go for a tanky build. I think Samuro could be really helpful as well, since you don't have to worry so much about that mana pool, and that's going to be the first thing that's going to run out during these runs. Another possible choice, which I haven't actually seen in game yet, but Theory Crafting says it could be helpful, is to play with the Lost Vikings. If you place 1 in each of the 3 lanes, that extra XP would probably be really helpful, since you'd be able to get up a couple more levels. That would also provide some more targets for the enemy bots to attack, which means that they will focus less on your siege and your support heroes. Samuro kind of works for this as well, using his illusions. So if you're playing one of these other roles, just keep in mind that the main thing we want to focus on is our self-sustain, because that is going to be vital to your success. You don't want to run out of mana in the middle of a push, especially if you're a healer, because your team will die. You need to be able to protect your Sergeant Hammer and your Sylvanas, or you're all going to wipe, and that's not going to be very much fun at all. Other interesting choices that we haven't mentioned so far would include Abathur, so that way you don't have to worry about dying and you can buff your teammates and things like that. Raynor would be really helpful because you'd be able to push people away from your Sergeant Hammer, for example, and you also have the ability to go out and bribe mercenary camps. Chen has just a lot of sustain, so that could be really helpful as well. Cho'Gall, I mean, you have a great big huge monster that's going to be doing a ton of damage. The downside though is that you're going to be losing 2 other spots, so you could have like the Cho'Gall, and then you would have, you know, your Tassadar and your 2 siege heroes. So if you lose that Cho'Gall, then you're really kind of in trouble. Rexar's another interesting choice because that gives you Misha, which just gives you another body to have in game. Murky because you can die a lot and doesn't really matter. And Karazim because he can fulfill a lot of different roles, and so that makes him really helpful as well. Now, honestly, I don't play very many take heroes, and I haven't seen enough of them in the game or during these quick matches to be able to really judge their effectiveness, and that's the reason I haven't included very many of them in this list. It would seem at first glance that the goal is just to produce as much damage as possible, but being able to peel enemies off of your siege and support heroes is also hugely valuable, and just being able to stay in the fight for a long time. But in the end, you have to play whatever you're most comfortable with, and that's just how you get the job done. Really, all we want to do is blow up the core as quickly as possible, and I am certain that there are other compositions that can do just an awesome job. This is just based off of what I've seen so far in the game. So if you do have any other ideas for a good team, please leave it in the comments below, and if you can put the fastest matches you've had in there as well, so we can kind of get an idea of how effective it is. I know I'd love to read them, and I'm certain that the other viewers would as well. But that'll do it for me. I've got to get back to it. I still have another 10 games to go. If this video has been helpful, please go ahead and give it a like. Feel free to share it with anybody who would benefit from it. And don't forget that you can subscribe and all that other fun stuff too. My name is Tristan from Lava Dragons. Have yourselves an excellent day, and I will see you guys in game.
4, 3, 2, 1. Go on now, fight! You enjoy that. Heroes, night will fall in just a few moments. I hope you're ready. Double kill. The shit. Triple kill.
You possess a
Killing. No mercy.
None can stop us.
Kill destroyed. Feed my children. Spill their blood.
A worthwhile sacrifice.
Well done, my servants!